Hello and welcome to the Drone Bay podcast, where we discuss anything and everything related to EVE Online. I am one of your hosts, Crovan. I'm joined today by my in-game courtmate and real-life brother, Tharus Marr. So, Tharus, how are you doing today?
Pretty good. Sunday afternoon. Chores are done, and I'm ready to relax, play some EVE.
Spin some spaceships. At least that's what we're going to be doing while we record this. We're not good enough to have an actual discussion while flying around in combat or anything like that. So. I guess I should start off by clarifying that this is not the first iteration of the Drone Bay podcast. And if you're familiar with the name, I was one of the original hosts of that show. And I was going to look it up and I neglected to do so. But I know that we were kind of in our heyday in like 2008 through 2010. The show started in 2007, I believe. Maybe even late 2006, but I want to say it was probably 2007. And at that point, my co-hosts were Crazy Canucks and Al Cedric. I don't think either of them are currently playing EVE, and neither was I for quite some time. I started playing in 2006, January of 2006, and played pretty steadily through 2010, and then since then have kind of come and gone from the game multiple times, most recently just a few weeks ago. It's one of those things. I ran into a couple people in real life who had not only heard of EVE, but had played EVE, and it kind of got the bug going again. And I went and Googled YouTubed the This Is EVE video, which is perhaps the greatest hype reel ever made for a video game. Yes, it is fantastic. I watched it actually again the other day, and every time it just gives me goosebumps. So yeah, here we are. So we might get into a little bit of our more of our in-game history, but yeah, if the name The Drone Bay rings a bell, it's for a reason. And decided that a YouTube channel and podcast would be the way to bring that back. As of right now, the plan is to put this up on the Drone Bay YouTube channel and then also to set up a podcast feed. So you can get it either way as far as whether you're an audio or a visual person. If you are listening on the podcast version, then on the YouTube channel, the plan, again, is to have a little bit of B-roll going. There will be some ship spinning in stations, that sort of thing. But we are trying to do some recording while we're out and about doing things and include that.
Audio-only friendly version.
Yes, it is audio only friendly, but if you do want to put it up on a screen or something like that, there will be at least something visual happening most of the time. I took quite a bit of recording over the course of the last week while I was doing some of the Capsuleer Day stuff, and then Tharus, you recorded while we were out doing some faction warfare stuff the other day. So
yeah.
All right, so yeah, that's a little bit about me. I started in 06. I can get into my history later, but let's talk about your history in EVE, when you started, what you've done in the game, and go from there.
Yeah, so I started in 07 when I saw you playing it, and I said, those are cool-looking spaceships. I want to do that. And what I've done through EVE is mostly join other people who I know who are playing. I know a lot of people play EVE solo. It's not for me. I need someone else to play with, to talk with it about. So yeah, I started in 07, jumped from corp to corp with you and some other IRL friends, typically taking, 6 to 8 month breaks. Then I'll catch the bug again and come right back. So since faction warfare existed, that's kind of what I've done. I've done Cal Mill, I've done Gal Mill, and now we're doing Gurmill.
Yeah, now we're in the Guristas militia, and so we'll get into that in a little bit when we talk about where we've landed for this iteration. And if I'm honest, kind of the whole idea of getting back into EVE-related content creation, there's a little bit of a selfish motivation in there. I mean, one, obviously, if the channel gets monetized, that'd be super. But I think it'll help me retain my interest. I'm like you in a lot of ways, where I can do a lot of solo activities. I run Abyss a lot. I do a fair bit of market trading, stuff like that to make my ISK. But, when I'm out and about in the war zone or trying to go PvP, solo's fun sometimes, but it's just so much better. If there's 1, 2, even, 8 or 9 other people out there flying with you, and the community is a huge part of what I've always loved about EVE. So,
yeah.
Well, I can get into a little bit more detailed version of my history then, I guess some bona fides, though, the thing is it's been so long since I was a significant player in any sense on the grander scale of EVE. So yeah, I started playing in 2006, started off in a corp called the Praxis Initiative, which I would later rejoin with you. But we started in Amar Losec in the Tash Murkon region, and then eventually went out to the Ketch region as part of Interstellar Starbase Syndicate. They had one of the first free ports, maybe the first free port in the game, back with the old style player-owned stations. And it was a lot of fun. I kind of cut my teeth on combat. Well, one of the guys in Prax used to be a member of a corp called Sharks with Frickin' Laser Beams, and he actually left to rejoin that corp. And he had taken a shine to me, had kind of taken me under his wing as far as showing me the ropes of PvP. And within a couple months of him leaving, extended an invitation for me to apply to Frick. And Sharks with Frickin' Laser Beams was one of the original corporations in the original Mercenary Coalition. And I got into Frick and was in the Mercenary Coalition for quite some time, over 3 years. Went on to become CEO of Eternity Inc. So I was a Mercenary Coalition CEO and fleet commander during the Great War. When Mercenary Coalition went and purged the North, I was one of the fleet commanders for that. And also, like I said, that's when the drone bay really kind of originally blew up. And I was writing blogs for massively.com, which I don't know if it still even exists. And then went to a couple of Alliance tournaments to do commentary for that. And in fact, I went and found the old videos and pulled a couple stills of me in the studio in Reykjavik that hopefully I'll remember to put up about this point in the YouTube version. So you can see me wearing a Goon Swarm shirt. Actually, it was a little bit of an inside joke. I wore a Goon Swarm shirt on the cast and actually got booted from the corp that I was in at the time, which was Dark Rising, because we had somebody there who was a very sort of paranoid security type. Saw me wearing a Goon Swarm shirt on EVE TV, and I found myself without a corp for a couple of days until the CEO, Mitch, got back and said, hey, wait a minute. No, this was clearly a joke. Let him back in. So I've done most things there are to do in EVE, except for one, which we actually just started doing recently. So, and yeah, every time I come back, I feel like I have a ton to learn. And so just kind of getting back up to speed on how to play the game, frankly. So that's me. And so now we find ourselves, I find myself a mercenary once again, which makes me very happy. So you and I have joined Noir.
Yeah.
So Noir is a mercenary corporation that's been around a long time. I don't remember when exactly it was formed. I know when it must have existed at the very least, because I met the founder and CEO, Alexeyev Card, in real life many years ago. I won't disclose exactly how many years ago so that we don't date ourselves too much. This time when I came back, I was like, you know what? The mercenary lifestyle was perhaps my favorite. Definitely the one I have the most time spent in as a mercenary. And now you are a mercenary as well.
I am. I'm joining the cause of earning IS for whatever people need done.
Yeah. So, and I might go into, I might do a separate video at some point talking about, the mercenary lifestyle in EVE and how it really is kind of a pseudo RP thing. All right. So let's now with a little bit of that history out of the way, I'm keeping an eye on the clock and realize I'm already getting off onto rabbit trails. So I might edit this with a relatively heavy hand. We'll see. So let's move up to today. And we have joined Noir, which has been a fantastic experience so far. There's some great folks flying in Noir. And I should note, Alec will be mad at me if I don't, that Noir is recruiting. We are in a recruitment phase right now. If you're a new bro, then there is Noir Academy. So you can kind of get your PvP skills up to snuff if you have some things that you need to learn, or if you're a more experienced PvP pilot. Noir is Noir is definitely hiring. And there's Noir does have a Discord. I'll probably put the link to the Discord down in the video description for the YouTube version. It's a little bit harder to do stuff like that for podcasts. And then there is also a channel in game. I believe it's Noir Cafe.
Cafe Noir.
Cafe Noir. Thank you. Yes. Does it have the period in the channel?
Does.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, if you're looking up Noir, it's Noir. Period. If you're interested in living the mercenary lifestyle, hanging out with us, hanging out with some other folks who are big fans of small gang PvP, all the way up to decent sized fleets, then you can come check out Noir. So you and I joined Noir at an interesting time, and I went back and listened to Alex's podcast, Declarations of War, which he says is the longest continuously running EVE podcast, and I don't doubt it, given that he's got well over 250 episodes at this point. So he talked about it on there, so I think we're in the clear to talk about it on this program, and that is the Continental Reef. We're in J-Space. Yeah, more shark stuff. It comes full circle in my EVE career. There's always sharks involved. So yeah, the Continental Reef is out in J-Space, and I won't give any sort of particulars about what system it's in or anything like that. But when I said there's really kind of one major lifestyle in EVE that I'd never done, this was it. I've lived in low sec, high sec, null blocks, but I've never lived in J-Space. Have you spent much time in J-Space, Tharus?
Nope, this is my first time doing any real long term. I would hop in every once in a while in a co-ops to do scanning and hacking, but never lived there.
Yeah, so the day tripping, I think, is as they call that. So yeah, our first week or so, we joined Noir mid-contract. The contract was to basically have a presence while all this stuff got set up, while the structures got put up, and basically to kind of show face in the area, and I made a pretty good amount of ISK actually, but there was a lot of logistics involved, a lot of runs of home defense ships and PvE ships and stuff like that were happening for that first week or so. What did you think of your first experience in J-Space?
It was super cool. I really enjoyed it. It gets tedious after a while, I'm sure, but just mapping out the chains of wormholes, I felt like I was, really exploring and finding out useful information for everybody else to use. It was a really easy way for someone who is not quite as experienced or have the, infrastructure to do logistics stuff to just help out the corp and do what you can. And, made ISK doing it too. When I was done scanning the chains, I'd go hack all the sites I found and made a pretty penny doing so. So it was a very cool experience, and it's, it gets your heart rate up sometimes when you don't know who's out there or who's watching.
Or when you warp into a ghost site.
Yes, or when you warp into a ghost site. Exactly. So, yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was a cool experience, and I'm looking forward to spending more time out there.
So, yeah, I mean, you say you made a pretty penny. There was one afternoon you made about 1 billion ISK.
Yeah, I accidentally made 1 billion ISK hacking one night. I've been waiting for that to happen again. I think CCP put me on the list, so that now all my cans are worth, $20K. But
yeah,
it was fine. It was worth it at the time.
Your carbon stockpiles are huge.
Exactly.
So yeah, I found J-Space really interesting too, and I think most folks are going to know the basics. But obviously the biggest thing is no local. And they tried that on a larger scale a while back in nullsec, taking away local, and people lost their damn minds.
I do remember that, yeah.
So, but yeah, J-Space, a lot of the time, I honestly just minimize my local window, and then if somebody happens to say something, then, I have the flash turned on my sidebar for that, so I'll see if somebody said something in local, but it's so incredibly rare that I'd rather just have the screen real estate 99% of the time.
More space for my solar system review and my scan drone.
Exactly.
Scan probes.
So, yeah, it is really cool kind of being able to be in a different part of space effectively every single day. So we're in a pretty good spot. There's only been one time where I had to wait a significant amount of time to be able to get back to Empire because people were out and about doing stuff in the chain, and so we couldn't roll the hole. But other than that, yeah, it's been really interesting. You have potentially new neighbors every single day. And of course, right now, I don't know. Have you been paying much attention to what's happening on the C5 highway at the moment?
I have not. No.
So there's a big war happening in J space right now between between Laserhawks, which is a very large operation. They control many high end wormhole systems, and then there's a coalition of corporations that are basically say that Laserhawks has too much of a monopoly on the good J space stuff, and they want to take a piece back. So there's quite a bit of fighting going on right now in J space. We're too small for I to really be part of that, but being mercenaries, it's entirely possible that we'll end up in that war.
That contract showing up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's very possible we could end up on one side or the other in that war, and that's always been a huge part of the appeal of mercenary work. I've literally had situations back in the day where you'd be working with an alliance 1 month, and then the next month or 2 months later, you're shooting at those same people because someone else paid you to do it.
Absolutely.
And so, good way to get content. So we spent a little bit of time in J space, and then, like you said earlier, went back to what's been kind of your stomping ground for some time now, which is faction warfare, specifically the Galente Caldari war zone. And now you've played on all three sides.
Yep.
So how do you find? So we were gone when they launched Havoc, when they brought in the Angels and the Guristas militia, and the dynamics of it I find really interesting because I think Guristas pilots have a little bit harder time logistically because you're shut off from both Galente and Caldari space.
Right.
So no more going to Jita, but that was already a thing when we were Galente militia. But so how do you find the new dynamic of having three sides in this conflict?
I think it's a really cool idea. I haven't played around or seen too many, insurgencies complete and start again to fully understand the impact. But I love the idea of spawning in the pirates in the backside of whoever's winning so that you create a third front and you can actually get some movement back and forth. Because every time I poke my head into faction warfare, it's usually, a 90-10 split of which side is dominating. And it's just kind of the fights are always pushed up on the other end. So creating that other second front for things to happen in is nice. And just the idea of it, again, it might not be the most practical thing, but being a legitimized pirate in the pirate faction is just super cool. I think that's awesome.
Yes, I do tend to agree. I'm wearing my Guristas t-shirt while we're talking right now. And actually spent some time as a Guristas role player way back in the day. If anybody's old enough to remember Veto Corp, I was a member of Veto Corp for a while. So this is my second stint as a semi-role-playing Guristas pirate. And it's great. And one of the things I love about this whole faction warfare dynamic now is it's entirely possible, and I've seen it happen, that, you'll have Galmil and Calmil fighting each other, and then the Guristas show up in third party and kill it and, shoot at everyone. And then you've got this weird sort of dynamic. And I'm here for it. Also the pirate sites, I find the pirate or the insurgency fac war sites a little bit more interesting than the standard fare. Because the insurgency level grants different things. You get, you get friendly NPC rats, which frankly don't do much, but it's fun to have them around in there. And what I'm looking forward to, and I've yet to be able to take advantage of this, but I do have the ships necessary to do so, is the fact that you can bubble in LowSec if you get to corruption level 5. So I've got 3 interdictors and some other gate camping ships, and I'm really looking forward to that.
Sitting down the day a system hits corruption 5 and catching people off guard with bubble camps sounds fantastic.
I completely agree.
I'm sure the people on the other end don't agree, but
well, this is
in place for you to know what's about to happen.
Precise. That's exactly what I was about to say. So that's what we're doing in Eve. We're in Noir. We're having a great time. There's there are people who have been very helpful, teaching me a lot about living in wormhole space. I'm still learning some of the mapping stuff and bookmark procedures and that sort of thing, but I think I'm getting better. How to use the mapping software or the web app and all that stuff. So people have been incredibly helpful. And also, I guess part of what we should say about the reef is part of the idea there is to have residents of the reef. Noir is there to protect the major structures, to protect structures in there. And outside of that, relations between the residents are between the residents, but we're kind of there to have a little bit of an umbrella, and again, it's not a C5, so it's not necessarily going to be part of the grander conflict happening in J space. But yeah, so it's a good opportunity, I think, for corps that want to dip their toe into J space or get back into J space, or if you've been evicted from your J space hole, we might be able to find you a softer than usual landing spot.
Listening, absolutely reach out and see if you can join in with us.
Yeah,
have a nice little haven in J space.
Yeah, so Noir CEO Alexeyev Card is the person to contact about that. Again, that's Noir with a period, a dot, a full stop, depending on which variety of English you speak. So that's what's happening now. But I did want to talk a little bit about, you and I both mentioned, we've taken many breaks of varying lengths throughout our EVE careers since 06 and 07. But we keep coming back. And I want to talk a little bit about that. So for you, what makes you catch the bug again?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that make EVE a super unique game that's not really, no other game scratch the same itch. And different things pull me back at different times. Sometimes I'm just really craving a really mechanically crunchy game. It has systems that are intricate and involved, and they take some understanding, but they're really rewarding at the same time. And there's also the other really big aspect is there's groups of players working together to achieve a goal. And most MMOs have something like that. Your traditional World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy 14. You'll group up, you'll go into your own raid instance and you'll fight a boss, and then you all come out. But nothing in the world has changed. Whereas in EVE, you get together with a group of friends, you go do stuff, and you might own a system now. You have changed the world around you by working together to complete some goal. And I just think that's super, super cool. And it's really, really rewarding to find your spot in a team, fill a role that needs to be filled, and just, do what you want to do out there. But there's so many opportunities, and it's the working together with other people that makes it so cool.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I completely agree with everything you said. And another big one for me is the strength of the community. Just this morning, I was listening to some of the videos of the presentations from FanFest in 2023. And specifically, there was one that Max Singularity did, the Space Pope, that's called Beyond Pixels. And he talks about the impacts that playing EVE and being part of this community have on people in real life. And I'm very much one of those people. Playing EVE changed my life in a lot of ways. It affected my career trajectory and almost really affected my career trajectory, except, then the Icelandic banking crash happened. You can fill in the blanks there as far as what was potentially on the table. But, it's set me up in so many ways. I could literally talk for 20 minutes about this. And so I think I'm going to save that for its own video. Let's talk a little bit about what's happening in New Eden at the moment. We are in the midst of the Capsuleer Day celebration. So if you happen to hear this and for whatever reason have not been logging in, this is the time to do it. Especially if you're Omega, because you get, some cool Capsuleer Day skins. You get a ton of skill points over the course of, this month. And then it's free praxis time. It's almost free praxis time. I think in a couple days it's free Gnosis time. But this is the time of year where everybody gets a Gnosis, everybody gets a Synesis, and everybody gets a Praxis. And I think those are... Well, when I first learned about those ships upon coming, one of my returns to the game, I was like, what's happening? Why do these exist? But now I've learned the error of that way of thinking, and it's great. There's also events happening. There's the lore behind the event is the Triglavians and the Drifters are having these conflicts in abyssal dead space. and the conflicts are causing conduits to collapse and basically fall into K space, into known space. And so there's these combat anomalies and these relic sites all throughout known space. I've seen them. I haven't been to nullsec since the event started, but I've definitely seen them all over high sec and low sec. And the combat sites are super easy. And in fact, I saw a fit on Eve Workbench for an Astero that could do both. The combat site could get a little dicey. There's a Kikimora at the end that, if you're not careful, could mess you up pretty good. But yeah, so the Astero was great for that. And, you get little bits and bobs from those sites, and then you use them to make filaments to go into these abyssal sites that drop the loot to make the filaments to go into higher abyssal sites. And there's the big rewards out of a lot of these are these Edencom cans that have skins in them. They can have boosters in them that are really good. Actually, some of these are fantastic. And then they can have implants, the Genolution implant set, which was introduced a while back and stopped being distributed. Well, now it's back. And so if you're not familiar with the Genolution implant set, what it does is they're +3 implants, but they also give you bonuses to fitting, basically, and ship operation, because they all help your capacitor. But, grid, CPU, stuff like that, in addition to capacitor. So they're actually really nice. And the first couple of days, they were dropping like crazy. I think I did 10 to 12 sites, and I got 6 of them. And then I think the rumor is that behind the scenes, CCP kind of stealth nerfed the drop rate on those, because I saw the price tank, because I was like, well, I'm going to hold them till after the event. And I even put up some buy orders for them, because during the event, the prices of that stuff is steadily going to fall. And then after the event, once everything's over, the price will steadily go back up. And that's, obviously when you sell them. But yeah, and then I saw the price going back up, and I'm like, what's happening? So I went online, and a lot of people were like, CCP nerfed the drop rate on these. So, and the market seems to bear that out. So
yeah.
Anyway, have you done much Capsuleer Day stuff?
Not yet. I've been wanted to carve out some time to go do. I know there's also a bunch of in-game objectives to complete. I'll be honest, I don't 100% know what you get for doing those, but I'm interested in doing them.
Skins mostly.
Skins involved.
Yep, Capsuleer Day skins.
So I'll be looking through, when I'm spinning my ship in my hangar, also look through some skins. Like, oh, that's a cool skin. Where'd that come from? Oh, it's Capsuleer Day.
Capsuleer Day.
I don't want to have to look back regretfully anymore. I want to have the cool Capsuleer Day skins. So
right.
I will be doing that here in the next week or two. I just need to figure out exactly how I want to go about doing that.
Well, yeah, because a lot of those skins are bound too. Like, once you get them, you can't buy them on the market. They don't exist on the market, because once you earn them, they're yours, and that character has them now. So yeah, there's some good ones in there too. And I actually, one of the ones, I think my favorite one that I've actually applied so far from Capsuleer Day is one that I found in a site, because they've got skins for all the covert ops that drop out of the sites, and the price on those has gotten pretty cheap. I think they're only like 20 million ISK right now. At least the Anathema one is only 20 million. So
all right, I'll have to keep it out. If I don't get them by the end of the event, I'll have to go scoop those up, because Cove Ops are definitely ships I fly.
I was going to say, you're
in my life.
Yeah, you do a lot of Cove Ops. So
and the Helios is kind of ugly as sin, so it needs some help.
I've named mine Blobfish.
Yeah. I am deeply jealous of the Buzzard and the Anathema.
Yeah, they look nice. Even the cheetah.
If anyone's interested in, the cheetah's great.
And actually, we got a cheetah skin today as we're recording.
Yeah.
That was today's. We got a Vexor skin and a cheetah skin. So 2 ships that I fly, which is great. Speaking of skins, Tharus. Ooh, the police are coming.
Whoop, whoop. The sound of the police. They are by far my favorite skins, and I'm happy to finally have the ones that have been made available to me. There are ones that exist that they haven't put out, and there's ones that they haven't made. We're gonna put a highlight on the Megathron Navy issue.
Megathron Navy
needs
issue.
A police skin.
Yes.
If you can hear me in Reykjavik, please.
CC, please.
I need it.
CC, please. I need my Navy Mega skin. Yeah, so a lot of the police skins that had been limited edition have now been re-released, and I believe when I was watching the Pulse video the other day, I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure it was made clear that they are back for good. And they're currently on sale. So, and then there are a few, I think there's 6 in total that you get by buying Plex, because there's also a Plex sale happening. So if you buy Plex at the 20 to 25% off rates, you also get some of these police skins. Some of them are pretty sweet. Prophecy Navy issue, the Imperial Navy Slicer, the Omen, the Rifter, and the Loki, and the Varger.
And the Legion as well. Legion and the
Legion
for sure come from the Plex packs. A couple of those you mentioned come from the like Abyssal packs, which come with various, skins and boosters and expert systems. Some of those are sweet. I absolutely got the Prophecy one because that's one of my favorite hulls in the game by far.
Yeah.
Such a cool looking ship.
Well, and it was nice to be able to go back and buy skins that I missed out on. So like I've had the Brutix Navy police skin for a long time, but now I have the Brutix skin, and I had, the VNI skin, but now I have the Vexor skin. And then also I think maybe that part has ended, but the Twitch program where, you watch Twitch for a long time on a channel with drops enabled, and they'll give you the Fed Navy Comet skin.
You get the OG police skin.
Yeah, which was the
first one, or it just looked like that. Originally. Well,
it was
a police ship.
Yeah, I was going to say it was before skins existed. The Fed Navy Comet just looked like a police ship.
Yep.
And so
also the Cormorant Navy issue, I believe, also has the police skin.
Yes.
On Twitch. So be sure you don't have to just put the volume down to 1% if you don't want to watch or you're doing something else, but have it on the screen and get those sweet skins and some Evermarks as well.
I bought, because I did not buy the $100 Plex pack to get one, though I was tempted. So on the market, I bought the Loki Republic Police skin, and currently it's on a sell order. But if it doesn't sell, I'm not going to be sad because I love the Loki. It's one of my favorite ships. So yeah, the ability to have it decloak and have police lights on it just is amazing to me.
How do you feel about all liking these police skins so much, but being in the pirate faction? What does that mean?
It scratches my ironic sense of humor, I suppose.
Yeah,
but I mean, it can't be helped. They are objectively the correct skins for a lot of these ships. So
we're just 2 steps away from joining code, I think, is what that means.
Fair enough. Do they have a Catalyst police skin? If so, okay. I don't think they do. I know they don't have a Catalyst Navy skin because I looked. Because I would have bought one of those, because that is one of my favorite ships.
It's great.
Oh, well, the item exists though, but I don't think I saw one in the store. Interesting. But yeah, I just pulled it up in the browser, and there is okay. Once we're done here, I'm see if I've missed something, because if there's Catalyst Navy issue skin, unless it's like 4 billion-esque, I'm getting it.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that is Capsuleer Day. Again, it's a great time to be logging in. And I've heard, and I don't know if this is true, so take it with a grain of salt, but I think I'm going to try it, which is that if you log in an alpha account for all the Capsuleer Day days, and then before the month's over, if you Omega that character, then you get the Omega rewards for the days that you collected the Alpha rewards.
Interesting.
That's what I've heard. I can't confirm. I you know what I might do? I might buy a weekend pack on one of my accounts for like $4 or whatever, and test that. And then I'll either say something in another video. I might put something. Actually, you know what? Screw it. We're doing it live. All right. So to resolve this one way or the other, what I'm going to do right now is Omega one of my Alpha accounts with the weekend pack for $3.75 American to see whether or not you do in fact get to claim previous rewards from Capsuleer Day. Because if that's the case, I'm going to have a lot more Praxises sitting around at the end of the month.
This account has already redeemed the Alpha rewards previously?
This account has been redeeming the Alpha rewards every day. So here we go. Okay, Clone State Omega. 50,000 skill points, the Apotheosis. Yeah, Yeah, it does look like that. Like that's legit.
All right.
So yeah, you can wait. And then at the end of the month, if you've got an alpha, if you're training up a skill farm or training up an alt and just don't want to pay for it until it gets to that 5 million skill point threshold, then you can wait until the end of, or toward the end of Capsuleer Day. I think after day 23, it's all like boosters and stuff. So if you've missed a couple days, you still get the ships and you still get all the skill points. But yeah, okay, so confirmed. It does work. And I think I was capturing I think I was still capturing Crovan's Eve window. So that's okay, though. Oh, in fact, I'm not capturing anything. The capture stopped. Anyway, so can confirm. Let's move on a little bit. So yeah, again, great time to be logging in. Great time to return to the game, frankly. We've already talked a little bit about what we're doing in game, which was one of the other things I wanted to cover. Anything else you wanted to hit on that as far as what's happening with us right now, what we're doing?
No, like you already mentioned, but very thankful to the guys in Noir who have helped get us on board. Again, I started in 2007, but I like to call myself a very experienced new bro. I've played a lot of this game, but haven't actually gotten in depth. So I'm still learning a whole lot of stuff from these guys. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure. Again, yeah, another plug for Noir. So, well, with that said, and with that in mind, I think, in the future, we might have you kind of host some segments as far as if you're familiar with the old Drone Bay format. Al Cedric used to have this segment we called Don't Panic, which, obvious reference is obvious, but where he would kind of go over and do some new bro friendly stuff, or even, if you're just new to a certain aspect of the game. And so we might have you do some of that going forward. But this week, the special segment I wanted to have was an item focus. I want to talk about one item in the game because it might be my favorite item in the game. And now, Tharus, you already know because I told you what I was going to do for this, but maybe later we'll leave it in suspense. But if you're listening or watching, I'm going to give you a few seconds to think about what is your favorite module in the game, and what do you think mine might be, given the type of ships I've mentioned flying, and my long PvP history in the game.
Salvager 2.
Yes. Ice Harvester. No, it is in fact the Damage Control 2. I love the Damage Control. I have always loved the Damage Control. And I think most people are going to be familiar with what the Damage Control does, but I will take a brief moment, and I'll go ahead and include the Assault Damage Control too, because the Assault Damage Control is also amazing.
Very nice.
So yeah, the Damage Control has, for as long as I've been playing, if you don't have a Damage Control, especially on a PvP ship, you better have a darn good reason to not have it on there. Because the effective hit points that you get just out of the hull alone, but at least it used to be the case, and I think it still is, that, because it gives minor resistances to shield and armor too, and at least it used to be, and I think it still is, that those bonuses are not subject to the stacking penalty that you get from hardeners and from amplifiers and membranes and that sort of thing. So if you're already stacked up on, resist modules, then the Damage Control is just gravy on top of that. Plus, you have the opportunity to hull tank a little bit longer, which with some of these ships, the Brutix Navy, the Exec Navy, some of those, Galente, as much as you can structure tank, the Galente are amazing at it. Just flying a big old brick with blasters on it. So the Damage Control 2 is my favorite. A little bit of history, and you would remember this too, I think, Tharus. You were definitely around when the Damage Control was an active module.
Yes.
And what did it look like? What did the button look like?
It looked like a little suitcase.
A little brown suitcase with a little cross on it. And there were many, many instances where during a fight, someone would be like, oh, crap. Somebody goes down incredibly quickly. Like, what happened? Oh, I forgot to turn on my Damage Control. So Damage Controls the standard damage control is passive. The assault damage control, though, now this is something that didn't exist back when we started, and these are specific to assault frigates and heavy assault cruisers. The assault damage control gives a little bit less passive resist, but it is Eve's greatest oh crap button in the entire game.
So many numbers on this mod game.
When we were doing Galente Militia last time, I had one of these on a Deimos, and I was still, getting my feet back under me and, learning about, small scale PvP again, learning the mechanics of faction warfare again, because they had changed since the last time I'd played, that sort of thing. And yeah, while the passive bonuses are a lot lower, you turn this thing on and you just take 3/4 less damage for a few seconds. So if you're in a situation where, and you can only use it every 2.5 minutes, I think. But if you're in an oh crap situation, if you're in an active rep ship or you've got Logi around, oh man, the ADC is your very best friend. So yeah, if I'm flying a hack or an assault frigate, which I often am flying a hack, arguably one of my favorite classes of ship other than the battle cruiser, but yeah, I've got one of those on. And if you're just getting into PvP, if you've, maybe you're a new bro, maybe you've just been doing a lot of mining and whatnot. But even then, mining ships should probably have a damage control. That third mining laser upgrade is going to be worth a lot less than a damage control that potentially gets your ship out most of the time. Maybe not on a venture. I think a damage control 2 costs as much as a venture, but so anyway, that is my favorite module. I would ask you yours, but I think I'm going to let you come up with that and host this segment on a future show instead. So I think I've dominated a lot of the conversation today, but I want to give you a chance. Anything else on your mind? Any as far as Eve goes, things that you plan on doing, things that you want to take that you want to learn more about on this time back in the game, anything like that?
Yeah, I'd love to actually, learn how to fly ships. Most of my time in Eve, I've been, yes FC, no FC. I'm hitting F1 FC. I'd like to, gain some knowledge to be able to independently fly into a Plex by myself and not crap my pants. So I love the opportunity that Gurmil is going to give me for that. If I want to just go spin a Plex for ISK, I can. But if I just want to go fly into Hadley's and lock up everyone I can and, lose some ships, I can do that too. So yeah. Very excited to do that and very excited to do this. This is the first kind of, content I've ever produced for something. So looking forward to doing more of these.
Yeah, no, I'm excited about it too. And I'm sure as you get more comfortable with it, the ratio of who's talking more should even out. So if you're listening and you're like, God, shut up and let Tharus talk, I will. I promise. I promise. So, but yeah, no, that's a great point about, small gang and solo PvP. Faction warfare has always been the place for that. Gurmil definitely seems to be the place for that. The loyalty point,
twice as many war targets.
Yeah, exactly. The loyalty points. God, the Guristas, both pirate loyalty point stores have some really good stuff. Point of advice: if you do join Gurmil, don't bother with the Rattlesnake blueprint. It is not worth it. No. The other ship blueprints are fine.
After that dread mess this week, the XL Guristas cruise missiles were going for a pretty good price. So.
I did see that on Fuzzwork. Yeah, there was the dreadnought missiles were in high demand for some reason. But yeah, no, the Guristas loyalty point store has some great stuff you can buy. The first time that I went through and did some shopping in there, I bought Worm BPCs, I bought Mamba BPCs because I have industry characters that can build that stuff. And I kept a couple, but I sold a bunch, and the profits were great. But there's you can get the Dread Gurista ECMs, you can get Dread Gurista's ballistic controls. There's some good modules to be had from the Guristas and the Angels. Angels have always had the best warp scramblers, webifiers, warp disruptors, speed mods, domination speed mods are always really good. So yeah. You can make a lot of ISK doing faction warfare. It's one of the few it's like the only PvP activity I'm aware of that can actively pay for itself as long as you're not flying much bling. So
Mhm.
huge.
You don't
Yeah.
have to.
No. Yeah. Huge plug for faction warfare, especially Guramil. Come join us and come join Noir. So
Absolutely.
I think that's it for today. This is the first show, so apologies if the formatting's a little rough. I basically, we put down some bullet points and said, all right, let's hit record, see what happens. Like I said, we've both been recording a little bit of B-roll. I don't know how much of that we'll use, but it might be on loop because we don't have a lot yet. But if you've got suggestions for segments, things you'd like us to cover, things you want us to talk about, you can. There are a couple ways you can get a hold of us. Obviously, you can leave a comment if you're on the YouTube side, and then whether you're on the YouTube side or the podcast side, you can send an email to thedronebay@gmail.com. It's funny. I think originally we had dronebaypodcast@gmail.com. I don't know if I think the Drone Bay might have been taken then, but maybe that account's been abandoned and Google freed it up because it was there when I went for it this time.
Horizons.
Yeah, so it was fantastic to see that I could have the Drone Bay. Well, I think that is going to be all for today. I don't know if this will be weekly, if it'll be every other week, what it's going to look like, but we're going to be putting out more content on the channel. I think for now it's going to be mostly me doing a lot of the content, but I know Tharus, you've been dipping your toe a little bit into video editing and that sort of thing. So we might be seeing some videos hosted by Tharus on the Drone Bay channel. If you are on the YouTube side, I really appreciate a like and a subscribe. The channel has taken off faster than I ever could have dreamed. We were already over 150 subs when I checked it this morning, and then we had over 10,000 views combined on the videos. So actually, yeah, we are sitting right at 150 subs, and then quite a few video views, lots of watch time, which the algorithm loves. So really, just watching or listening till the end is a big boost. If you're on the podcast side, leave a review where you found us. I think recently now even Spotify has started allowing reviews, which was not a thing for a very long time. So that's great news. With all that said, I'm Crovan, and
There's.
and yeah, we will talk to you next time on the Drone Bay Podcast.